Good afternoon, beautiful people. Yeah, I just built it up last night. I'm very happy and impressed the way it turned out. So I am going to do a 2020 Roubaix S-Works bike review. So if you haven't checked out my video how I built it, I'll put the link at the end of this video. As usual, after I built a bike with the di2 setup, I always wanted to set up the little buttons on top of the hood to whether it's changing gears or flip between screens. So I hook it up to the computer, which I've done a million times using Shimano e2 project program. Everything connected, it detected the firmware update. I clicked the button, something happened. So during the firmware updating, it just says error. I tried it again, it just wouldn't recognize the live shifter. I'll show you. Change the rear derailleur. No worries. Front derailleur. Nothing. It is actually very interesting because the left shifter, which controls the front derailleur, is not working. But the right shifter, which controls the rear derailleur, is working through the left shifter. So the hardware is fine. It's just the software, the firmware is all ruined. To be able to restore the left shifter firmware, bring it back to life, I need a Shimano unit called a CPE1, which is the older unit, of the O2, which is the newer one. It costs about over $300, Shimano. Really? You're telling me do a firmware update, and if your cat knocked the cable, or your internet crashes, or your computer crashes, then you have a half-dead unit. This is a problem, Shimano. To me, this is not very user-friendly. It's like any other electronic devices. If you do a firmware update, something happens during the update, then it just go back to your original firmware. But with Shimano, yes, when you connect your bike to e2 project, it actually says, do not disconnect your cable. But if anything happens, then you have a malfunctional component. I put a post on the Facebook, just see if anyone's selling a unit, because I really don't want to spend $350 and possibly just to use it once. The legend, Shane Miller, aka the GP Llama, commented, say, how about try to switch to the synchro shift mode? And I was just like, mate, you are a brilliant man. And immediately I've done that by tapping the button when the light's flashing 3 times. Then that means it's the full synchro shift mode, which I can use my right shifter to control the front derailleur. So this way I can at least use the small or big chainring. And a big shout out to Brian. We've never met. So Brian, he saw my post and he said, hey Nick, I got a unit, but I'm in New South Wales. Happy to restore it for you, just post it to me. You know, big shout out, mate, you're a legend. Thank you so much. You see? Be beautiful people. But then I contacted a few friends who own a shop. So I got one. Here it is. Look, guys, I really appreciate it. You guys own a shop. This is a tool for the shop, but you lend it to me. See? Beautiful people. All right, I'm not gonna tell which shop because they're gonna use this for business. They're not gonna let people to borrow it all the time. All right, now I'm gonna go try it for the first time. See if we can use this Shimano SM-PCE1 unit to bring my left shifter back to life. Oh yeah. This little box can diagnose what is happening with the Shimano di2 system. Or in my case, restore the firmware. So we need to connect this to my laptop, like that. Boom. Okay. And also, we need to connect one of these cables. I don't know why it comes with 2. And you only connect this to that faulty component. not the whole system. In my case, is the left shifter over there. I just disconnect both cables. Now let's plug the unit onto the shifter. Done. So what we're gonna do is fire up the di2 project. And instead of clicking road, mountain bike like usual, we click this little cable. And click next. I think it's going to take a while to recognize the unit. It says unit cannot be detected. I think that's quite normal. You meant to do it twice, so don't panic. Next. Now it says cannot be detected. We click next. Here we go. The firmware is currently being overridden. Do not disconnect. I am not gonna touch any of this cable until it's overridden. Okay? I can promise you that much. Come on. A firmware of the shifter has been restored. Yes! But it still says unknown unit. Don't worry about that. Next. Let's go. Let's go. Shimano 9170. Hell yeah, brother. Yes, it is. My yahee, my yahoo, my yaha, my yaha. Alright guys, I think the process is kind of finished. So what I'll do now is to disconnect the diagnosed unit and plus those two cables back and check the whole system, see if it functions properly. Yes. Yes. Alright, just reconnect to the di2 project. All the components, front, rear derailleur, two shifters can be detected. New firmware update in progress. Alright, so guys, the conclusion is if your Shimano di2 group set is working properly, maybe don't play with the di2 project program to update firmware, because if it's working properly, it doesn't give you any drama, which is normally the case. Don't play with it, because there is a chance you have to deal with all this sort of stuff. Whereas other electronics, like the neural loop earphones I talked to you guys about, it's almost unusable. After the firmware update, now it performs perfectly. So, you know, it's a great product, but it just some bugs needs to be fixed. Whereas Shimano, you can use the di2 project to set up different buttons for your liking. But in terms of firmware, you can do it, but make sure when you do it, nobody touching any cable, the internet is stable, your computer, if you're using a laptop, is charged. All the firmware is updated. Done. Alright guys, this is how you bring a half-dead Shimano components back to life using the Shimano CPE diagnosed unit. See you the next time.